If you Google CCOT in El Salvador right now, you'll see a pile of corpses on Google Maps right now. We tried to warn you. I swear to God we did. We said that's not a prison. That's an extermination camp. And if you're looking for your family, they're not coming back. They're in a pile of corpses. They're digging new mass graves just for you. Because on Friday, Trump passes the Insurrection Act. You better hide because you ain't coming back. We call that martial law. Kill them all. Martial law. Kill them all. Martial law occurs during times of emergency statistically, such as natural disasters or like wartime. But we don't have any natural disasters. Oh! War! It means war against your citizens. It is historically very rare. But regardless, the land around the camps is already stained red. You can see it on Google Images. Just click. Just please be interested. 90% of the people we send to extermination camps haven't even committed a crime. We are sending entire families to extermination camps in which the surrounding land is stained red. And I can't pay any white American to care. So I'm going to TikTok. Please just look it up on Google Images. That's all you gotta do today. That's all you gotta do today. Shit, that's all you gotta do today.
All right, everybody, so we are recording. It is April 15th at 8:15 p.m. for Future Historians. And like we said in our communications, we can discuss strategy and things like that on the after, but just so that our group is all on the same page about like what's going on in our country and in our communities, I thought that it was real important that we all have a conversation, because the conversation is not going to be had on social media or in any kind of mainstream media or anything like that. And, I just got out of a deep depression, guys, for like, I don't know how many weeks mourning this country, like really, truly mourning our country and anything that was any ideology of the Constitution that was left. Like I said, it's like a divorce or a bad breakup. You love it, but when you catch her cheating, it's over with. And before we wanted to record tonight, Mike, you posted something. And wait, you've been on here with us before, but not like when we were recording. So this is Mike Jones from Controversial Conversation, everybody, from downloadedcontent.com. But to kind of catch everybody up with what I think we need to be discussing, Mike, you made a post today on social media. And I was like, that's the best way to start it to get the conversation going in the right way. So do you have that in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man, go ahead. I'm going to mute out and just do what you do.
Sure thing. So give me 1 second. I was going to try to read it through here, but I guess I got to put it in my Word real quick. All right. So basically I stated, I'm not sure people really fathom what's going on with our country. The normal state of affairs is no longer in effect. The America that you thought you knew, and I get that some always saw the facade, is no longer in existence. This nation was sold to the highest bidders, and it is being systematically destabilized by the executive order. This administration not only rejoices in cruelty, they can't operate in any other way. Conservative voters have voted against their best interests for generations, and this is what the results of a defunded education system look like. The mere existence of any other narrative threatens the very fabricated sense of power that right-wing voters think they possess, and is constantly manipulated by the fear-mongering tactics of their spineless representatives and right-wing media channels. Decade-long misinformation and disinformation campaigns have been successfully implemented, and is reflected in the constant baseless conspiracy theories that MAGA will not only believe without fact, but confidently push as gospel because it came from their team. They have been so conditioned by fear and indoctrinated with hate that they truly don't know what they actually stand for. This results in the cyclical nature of consistent contradictory points being taken. They lack consistency because they lack the ability to understand consistency. They will defend what they believe they know about the Constitution, but in the same breath applaud when their guy violates it because it pisses off the libs. They don't care about due process because they don't understand it. To them, law and order is a catchphrase rather than a substantial ideology about criminal justice, reform, and protection of individuals and or their rights. The truth of the matter is that we didn't just get here. We've been heading here for generations because the ones who thought this was their country were so eager to take it back, only to find out they don't understand how the country operates. The same people who want the swamp drained elected the animal that runs it. We're not at the point where shit gets bad. We're at the point where shit is about to hit the fan and all of us are about to get trickled down on. Your best bet for braving this is to build community, build up villages, build up self-sufficient, self-determined ecosystems, mutual aid networks, worker co-ops, survivalist programs, self-defense apparatus, medic safe houses, resources, strategy, discipline, and a plan are the only things that will help you in these trying times. No one can say they didn't see this coming, but since we are actually watching with eyes open and we can't change the past, we can create the future. It's literally up to the people. And as I always say, power to the people.
All right. And that's the perfect setup because, you know, you and I, Mike, we both know the implications of the re-invocation of the Insurrection Act. And, you know, and this is a raw conversation, guys. You know, I know it's disorienting for those of you who are talking to me to be in our community and to just be baffled by the fact that when we go outside of our doors, most people in this area are oblivious to what's going on in this country. They are absolutely oblivious to it. And, you know, that includes everyone in local government all the way up. But Mike, I know I sent like you guys some homework about the Insurrection Act, but just for the sake of everybody being on the same page with this, can you let everybody on the call know what this is, what this means as far as April 20th?
So I guess like real quick backstory is when as I call him, Fuckboy 47 took office, he made a proclamation basically that there's 90 days before he can really do anything. So he wants to get an assessment of border security and civil unrest, things like that. So it's basically a justification for him to unilaterally use his power with the Insurrectionist Act or the Insurrection Act of 1807 and then use that as a gateway potentially to martial law. So within the Insurrection Act, you still have civil liberties, you still have the courts, you still have essentially due process, even though at this current moment, due process has gone out the window. And we've seen that with the fact that we can't bring people back that were never supposed to be taken in the first place. That's where we're at right now. They've manipulated things to where if they say that you fit a criteria, and this criteria can be as simple as saying that you speak this language, you have this skin tone, and you have tattoos that are similar to what we believe is in our database is for this gang right here. And we're sending you off. And we've seen that sometimes it's just regular ass tattoos and stuff like that. It's got nothing to do with gang ties or anything, but that doesn't matter. And that's the point. That's the place that we're at right now is they're basically circumventing every court system to do whatever it is that they want to do. And this act right here, coupled with the constitutional immunity that was given to him by the Supreme Court, basically allows him free reign to do any and everything. And we're seeing him attempt to do it. This isn't to say martial law is coming. This is to say that this is the door that gets open for martial law to come. And right now, there isn't truly too much that we can do to stop that. Because once, April 20th comes, if that's something that he wants to do, he's going to do it. Because we've seen with everything that he has done, when he says he's going to do something, he does it. So we just really have to be understanding of where we're at right now. So that's a little of the backstory. Like I said, if it comes, y'all, shit's about to hit the fan.
So everybody know what the Insurrection Act is? We all do? Okay. Now, I'll tell you what some of the concerns are from, well, a lot of the concerns is, they're never, I think people are waiting for him to come out and say we're under martial law, or any kind of government to say we're under martial law. And people don't really realize we already are. I mean, by proxy, we are. When, look, well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now, but I've been doing activism since 2008. And I think I've told a lot of you guys, or anyway, that when it became very real for me, it was, when they were passing the Patriot Act and the NDAA of 2012, the National Defense Authorization Act, which embedded within that Authorization Act was the whole idea of the sovereign citizen domestic terrorist, okay? The verbiage was in the NDAA 2012, which indicated, and see, whenever the government does something, they start laying the bricks for this shit years and years and years in advance, and it catches up to people. But with the NDAA, they were listing people who mentioned the Constitution more than twice in a sentence as a domestic terrorist. They were mentioning people who had Ron Paul bumper stickers, people who, wore Levi's jeans. Essentially, in the verbiage of the NDAA 2012, is that anybody that they want to label a domestic, homegrown terrorist doesn't have any habeas corpus, no due process of law. They can black bag you. And it's literally like, so that's me, and that's every one of you. If you said anything on social media, or you're known for being a dissident of this party, it's not like it's coming. Now we are at the point where he literally can do Gestapo shit, and he's doing it. Like, what's that student's name that they sent to El Salvador?
My bad. You talking about Khalil Mahmoud or whatnot?
Yeah. So, like, the Supreme Court, they sent this guy who had all of his papers. They sent him to El Salvador, to their concentration camp over there, and that's what it is. And the Supreme Court, like, they basically issued a facilitation, or whatever you want to call it. They basically told the executive branch he's got to come back home, and the executive branch said no. Okay, now that's it. That's the Thanos snap. You no longer live like you're in the Wild West. There is no rule of law anymore. It's gone. And I know that. Mike, I know you know that. Sabrina, I know you know that. Okay, Mona, Law, y'all are newer to the activism thing. But when the executive branch just told the judicial branch, no, all bets for saving anything are off. They're off. And now every person who this cult deems as a home, and the other thing was, if you scroll through TikTok, put in Trump plus homegrown. He had the dictator of El Salvador, and they were asking him in a press conference, they were like, so are you going to return, this student? And the dictator from El Salvador says, no, we're not, we can't, which means the guy's probably dead. Okay. And then on a hot mic, Trump is telling this dictator that next they're going to be sending El Salvador homegrowns, and that he needs him to build 5 more facilities.
Yeah. We are definitely at that point where, first they came for, then they came for, and then I was left. Like that's essentially where we're at. And by that, I mean, we as citizens that are naturalized citizens here, that were born fucking here, we're the last line of defense against everybody else. And we have such a fucked up immigration system that I don't think people realize what legal and illegal really is when it comes to this. That's what makes it so much harder. There's so much misinformation about it temporary status or green card or whatever it may be, like trying to figure all of that stuff out and then understanding that there's no true path to citizenship. And now they're just basically a $5 million gold card to fucking come to America. Like it's being literally sold off to the highest bidder. And this shit is ridiculous to me, but this is where we're at. And like you said, we knew there wasn't a law when the law itself was above it. Like you can't have a law represent the law when it doesn't believe in itself, right? If the police try to police themselves, that person becomes an outcast. If we try to get more reform for police officers, they push back. They got police unions that'll make sure qualified immunity never goes away, and they have this mythologized bullshit ass hero complex. We can't beat that. We can't fight that. So what do? We build our own systems. We build our own protection, self-defense. Like that's the only thing that we can really do to make ourselves protected in what is becoming a police state and a fucking global empire. Like America will fall for what we understand it to be, but the elites, they get to continue running this bit like a plantation, and that's what it's going to end up becoming. An AI fucking technocratic plantation where the rich, the elite, and the oligarchs are able to just subjugate us. And welcome to late stage capitalism, people.
I'm not saying you're wrong in any way, shape, or form, but
What's up?
we were having this very conversation 10 years ago. Okay, we thought martial law was knocking at our door 10 years ago. I was part of a militia because I believed so hard this theory that martial law was coming and people were going to come hounding me because I said some things on Facebook, and of course this goes down the rabbit hole of what point is it that Facebook becomes your case file, if you would, your jacket, so there's that. But at the same time, you know what? Nothing happened. And I'll be darned if really I'm on their radar. I am not going to live in the fear that I am. Is it possible? Sure. Why not? But in the grand scheme of things, if the name Sabrina Black appears at the top of some list, ahead of some real terrorists who have real nuclear missions, I'll be darned. Like, surely our government has better things to do than waste their time on this, clearly. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't on some agenda right now, right? But the people that they're after are not homegrowns. They are people related to other countries, and it makes you wonder who they are to that country, right? Because that's probably one of the things that's not being asked is like, we're all saying they're criminals and they're here illegally and that's why they're being taken. Nobody's looking any deeper than that, because how many have dared to ask, well, how many of them are actually political refugees here? How many of them are here on asylum that we don't know?
I think two things to your point. One, 10 years ago in 2015, we didn't have what we have here in 2025. This is Trump's second term where he's been able to implement Project 2025, which has been a 40-year agenda, which is now being in place because he's got his people in the administration. This is different than 2017. This is different than really going into 2020 when they thought that the election was stolen. Like this is uncharted territory. I don't disagree that people who have been in this fight for as long as you guys have and as long as I have are tired and feel that we've been seeing this coming forever. But it is here now, though. Like we can't dismiss it as if, well, we saw it coming. Nah, it is definitely here. And I think the bigger issue is, regardless of what they did to get here or what they're doing while they are here, I'm not saying that they're committing crimes, we still have due process. And the minute we allow them to strip that for immigrants, we allow a justification for them to do it to us. And I think
absolutely.
That's why we have to be like vanguard. Like we have to be the ones that fight back and consistently bring out the resistance. because we are screaming at people who are complacent. We're screaming at people who are comfortable. We're screaming at people who believe the system is actually working for them. That is the hardest battle that we're fighting. These people think that this shit works for them. Capitalism is trash.
Or
All right,
people
it
that
is.
are
Yeah,
people
go
that
ahead.
are apathetic,
We're,
people
we're,
who just
we're
feel like that, you know, like they feel so overwhelmed by everything going on. They're like, what can I do? 'Cause I get that a lot from people. Like they feel so overwhelmed they don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? So
dealing with a lot of types of people who, we come down to, I'm too busy.
yeah, or people are out here trying to survive. They don't have time to
And that's by
protest.
design. But that's by
And I'm
design.
saying that's what the system wants. They want people to be on survival modes. They don't have time to pay attention to podcasts like this or things in the news or whatever.
They don't listen to podcasts like this because we are lunatics here.
Not
Did
anymore.
you not
And
get that memo?
and Sabrina, to what you were saying, yeah, I have seen this coming for a long time and have been labeled kooky Crumpton for a long time for trying to warn my fellow members of the community around here that this is coming. Now, did I know that it was going to be brick by brick, line upon line, precept upon precept? Yeah. Okay, I did. Because it's like, like the Declaration of Independence says, when there's a design that is being evinced, and I could see him laying the groundwork for this way back when. And, me personally, I've been on, a list since 2012, me on that list. Now, like you, all of the, that happened to me in 2012 when the Department of Homeland Security, they were like, oh, this guy, he's got some opinions over here. And it became real for me. Like I saw it with my own eyes. And I'm so sorry, there's a whole trend of people who are like into targeted individuals and stuff like this. And I know that there are targeted individuals and then there are people who are just paranoid. But I had SUVs, I had phone calls, I had I had all of that stuff. Okay, so I'm very well aware that, yeah, little old me, somebody who writes pretty words sometimes, why the fuck would they want to look at me? Why would I even show up on their radar? I get that until one day I saw that I had showed up on their radar. So, and that was in 2012. And so, like Mike was saying, yeah, and for a while there, like during the first Trump administration, anybody who ever followed any of my shit, I went on podcasts and radio shows, and everybody was asking me about my opinions on Donald Trump. And the entire 4 years, I refused to speak about politics. So I don't want to talk about it. Because I knew if the Republican Party had gone so fucking far that he was even an actual nominee, much less their candidate, it was over. It was over. It was only a matter of time. But I'm telling you, and for a minute there, I was like, well, if there was ever going to be martial law declared, it's going to be during his first administration. And so I felt a little like, why really start preparing? But now, like it's not, it's coming. It's now. People are getting black bagged on the streets by the Gestapo, and they're being shipped to El Salvador and God knows where else. And I think a good bit of us were at the Warner Robins City Town Hall, and that's what Bishop was saying. Bishop was saying, there's nothing we can do. Don't look to your politicians. There is nothing that we can do. It's up to you people.
There's nothing at all.
There's not much we can do either. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen because look at how they've been doing it and how they're going to continue to do it in little increments. Nobody's going to stop them from coming for the immigrants. Okay. It's very publicly being frowned upon by everyone with the exception of those diehard Trump supporters. Okay. And let me be full scope here, full open, honest. I used to be Republican. Okay. I used to be nothing. And then I was Republican. And then I was like, wait a minute. there's something wrong here just entirely. And I've been anarchist ever since. So, yeah, I think I was Republican, though, for like 4 years. Okay. I was all about Mr. Bush. I loved him. He was so adorable. But at the end of the day, the whole thing, since the dawn of time has been about control. And all they've been doing is refining their process. So nobody's going to stop them from going after the immigrants. It might become less visible, in fact. Okay, they might figure out controlling the visibility of that. Right now, we're using their own systems against them, right? The cameras. You got them, we got them too. We got hackers, right? But at the end of the day, it's all just part of the show. It's all part of the get used to seeing it, because eventually they're going to come knocking on the door and there's nobody going to be there to stop them,
Nope.
right? Nobody.
Nope.
I
And
too feel like Sabrina. Feel like it's nothing we can do, but I do feel like we have to still stay involved and keep
Well,
pushing.
it's going to
So
come
what
down to
is our
the shop
plan?
the
That's where
shop
I'm at,
sort of
Law.
around the world.
Like, what
Okay.
is our
What's the
plan though? Like,
solution? We
It's
can
not,
can
I'll
panic all
keep
day.
going. I'll keep going, but I feel like it's inevitable.
it's not a plan. That's why.
Yeah.
No, no initiation of any freaking war has been on a plan, right? We all showed up to a scene at some point with the expectation that something was going to go down. Well, that historically has not stopped happening. Every time we went to a protest, every time you go to City Hall, you are putting up that front, that wall of defense that's ready to shoot, that's ready to stand your ground, right? And you're just waiting for the attack.
I
And
don't.
that's the problem. Nobody's pulling the trigger.
I don't necessarily agree, but one, my bad. I know we've been talking a lot, and I'm gonna let you talk. But just give me one quick. I just want to say,
we need a conch shell.
yeah.
Moderator.
I just think we do have a plan. It's just not in our best interest to literally say it over recording content.
Okay.
That is an offline conversation, but there is a plan.
I agree.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. So those of us who went through that 10 years ago and experienced the militia and saw what really happens when people try to come together under the same banner, we saw what happens. At this point, there's no going back to that. There is only wiping the slate freaking clean.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, so just unpacking a lot of it, and I think I think they've absolutely had a plan every time. Globally in the United States, when they've gone to war, they've actually had a plan and they've carried out that plan. As far as this Insurrection Act and just, I posted about this a week after he signed all of those executive orders, read through every executive order except for 2 of them, and could give you a little bit about most of them. And what I posted was, for my community, and that is that it's not just the southern border. Yes, Sabrina, as you're saying, it's a test. Let's see how they're going to respond to this. Let's see how they're going to respond to that. And you'll be targeted. And I told people to, get you a passport. Even though it's something really small, I won't look at it as a strategy, just to, no different than what Mike was saying as far as, establish community cohorts and things of that nature. Even if you don't vote, register to vote, because as a citizen or a person that has, gone through the processes, you can't vote. So it's just certain things that, people should consider. This isn't foreign. I mean, this is, as I've referenced it on my post back then, it's basically having your freedom papers. And, just simply having a birth certificate isn't most likely going to be enough, because they can circumvent that, because one of the other executive orders, as we all know, was around birthrights and how that is established for undocumented and documented people that come to the United States. You know, I feel everybody should have a passport. And sometimes you have to decide. There comes a point in life where you have to decide, is your freedom and your liberation only entitled to the United States of America? And it's not about, it's about the entire globe belonging to you. And so some people are going to need to make that decision. Personally, I'm not vested enough in America. The United States has not been kind to people that look like me, or me to fight for America on certain levels. And, and that's why there's just kind of been this, so I mean, people have to take everything into consideration. As far as it being an executive order, Sabrina, I'm all the way there with you. As far as the chatter that it was 10 years ago, there was the same chatter. I'm not saying it's not to be taken seriously, Mike, but history repeats itself.
It's meant to build
Trump
complacency.
is a businessman. Trump is a businessman. Trump understands marketing. And he is going to run this country like an extended version of The Apprentice Show. And with executive orders, yes, they have weight under the administration. Once that president leaves or is gone or however, that executive order does not carry any more weight to it. And I'm thinking, Sabrina, one of the reasons why you probably made that list is because there's another tie-in if you go back to the Insurrection Act and just a timeline of how many times presidents and some leaders have tried to bring it back. And so the preparation was that either it would be in this manner as far as going after non-documented people or illegal immigrants or what have you. Even the consideration, there was a serious conversation and consideration because the only other way to do it would be through another pandemic. And so that's why we were hearing all of the conversations about what was the pox, just in January last year, you started
COVID.
bird flu. Which one was it? Bird flu.
Oh,
That was
gosh, who could
getting
keep up with them all year?
But I think some conversations have to be had as far as, where do you stand as far as when if it's implemented. And now it's making like national media. And usually by the time it make national media, it's not happening.
Well,
By the time it starts making national media. Yesterday, I wasn't finding anything on it. I had to dig deep for it. Today, it's a discussion. And, so I'm just kind of, I'm open to hearing, but it's like for me at this point, I'm just tired of validating everybody else's oppression. And I can't in good faith as far as like what is going on right now, and just being a person whose roots are out of the South, out of the American South. Like, and you've probably heard Black people saying we're sitting this out because the very people that, when you look at the stats of who voted for Trump, it was Hispanics. Okay. And as far as a Black American from the South, 71 years ago, there still was Jim Crow. And knowing people that knew people that were lynched and knew people that fought that fight, and with a request for separate but equal. And somehow it gets turned into, you know, all these other things. And so validating the oppression of others has just not fared well for Black Americans in the South. It just hasn't. And so it's like, yeah. And I totally get that if it can happen, if it's a litmus test on, you know, citizenship rights and immigrant rights, or who's here illegally, undocumented, documented, like, they're gonna have to give us some skin in the game, like in writing. Like they probably gonna have to make like a blood, like, you know, promise that, hey, we get down with y'all this time. Y'all gonna
Well,
speak up about A, B, C, D, E for me.
like
You see?
this is where, and I'm kind of I'm in the middle of it with all of you, because for one, I ain't trying to save shit. The United States of America Incorporated is it's a corporation. You know, it's not worth saving.
I was going to say
I'm
something about that birth certificate. I
yeah,
think, yeah.
like I'm an alien from all this shit, so I'm aware of that. And look, if I had the means to, I would tell. But the reality of the situation is, you know, look, I'm a spiritual guy. You guys know it. This guy's the fucking Antichrist, so I know how it plays out. It's like it's here. Okay, now if I had the means, and I know if a lot of people had the means, I'd be over in Ireland right now. Okay, I would leave the country. Literally, I would leave this place. However, that is not what everybody can do. I can't do it. So I'm looking at it from this perspective. Okay, dude, you know, I call God Stan, by the way, Stan Lee. Everybody hears me say Stan Lee, I'm talking about my higher power. Stan's got me here. He's got me in a position where I cannot flee the country, which is the most ideal thing. Okay, I'm also aware that there is absolutely no way to turn anything around or stop it through the gears of government, either local, state, or federal anymore. Okay. I'm also aware that anybody who's not going along with this, just like in, you know, World War II, you're on a list. Me and Bobby were talking. He's forming a militia, or he has formed a militia, and he's mixed. So he's mixed white and black. And he expressed what I believe, which is there's no more time to be splitting it up anymore. It ain't about black, white, Hispanic. It all of us, every one of us. You know, it's those with the eyes that can see and the ears that can hear, that are of one spirit and one tribe, that knows what's going on. And that's where I'm at with it. Is it, you know, the good thing about him being in office is he has allowed a lot of these walls to come down, and it is providing an opportunity for people to come together under an ideology or philosophy rather than any demographic that they trapped our minds with. So I'm not trying to save the country. I know you're not. No politician is going to do it. So where I'm at is like, and I know Mike, you are too, is okay. This is the reality of the situation. This is where we're at. We are in a fascist dictatorship. There's no debate anymore. None. Okay. And I'm here. And like I was telling Mona, at any minute, I expect a knock at the door. Where do we move from that point? That being the reality of the situation. And like law, do I believe at this point that interacting with our local government is going to do anything or bear any fruit? I mean, that's a good question. I don't think, I think that at best, your local government, state government, they're all people who are doing a job and will follow orders. They even told us all that. They told us they got a hierarchy. They told us. So we got to do what we're told, and they will. Each and every individual person in local government will do what they're told. Okay? So that's where I think the situation is. And I think that people in our communities need to start having conversations like, all right, now what? And, build that community, that network, and start pulling resources completely away from any anticipation whatsoever that any elected official is going to help you out or further your cause, because that's not the case.
So let me ask you
That's
this.
where I'm at.
Say in 48 hours, okay, this Insurrection Act is in force. Okay. And so from some of the media outlets, like one of the states that Trump is lifting up or is coming up is Alabama, an example. So I take that as the dog was. Okay. As a state where, because, just from, okay, so that knock at the door, because this conversation isn't strategy. So let's say the knock at the door happens Saturday. What are suggested actions for people to take that will hear this conversation? Not strategy, like, I'm guessing if you don't have a bug out bag, get that going in your household. And I'm guessing everybody knows what a bug out bag is here. So, have those things.
Does everybody?
Yeah, but if that's your door, what is a go out bag gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
If you're saying they're literally knocking at your door,
if they're
then
knocking
you
at
you just
your
need to know your
Only
rights at
one
that point.
exit.
so
Yeah, like
if that's the case, then Mike, why are we having a conversation? Now, if they're
because
knocking
that's
at
Yeah,
not what
my
every
door,
happened.
war needs
Because
martyrs.
I'm going to tell you
I've been
what
trying to get
I'm
back
going
into
to do.
because that's not what happens during the Insurrection Act. That's what happens during martial law, and that was the point of the conversation. We're not at martial law. Insurrection Act is something that he himself can put into effect on Monday if he decides to, which puts us in a different state, because with him doing it, it's different than when they try to do it in 87. It's different when they try to do it earlier, because he himself has shown willful ignorance with his power. He is dangerously incompetent and he is trying everything. So a litmus test is fine if he doesn't continue to keep doing it, but he continues to push the boundary. So what I'm saying is, we don't need to keep talking about what happens when they come to your door. We need to talk about strategy, which is what I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it right here because we're having a conversation about what could potentially happen. What could potentially happen is we could all have somebody at our door. What could potentially happen is nothing at all after 420. We don't know. That's why we prepare ourselves. But if people want to leave the country, I think that is a good idea for them to do that. But if people want to hunker down and fight for something bigger than America, I'm not saying fight for your country. I'm saying fight for what you believe is your stay here, your place here. Yes, as a Black American in the South, I also have a lineage and heritage of Jim Crow and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I know my folks came through the slave ports of Savannah. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't think about leaving or you shouldn't think about sitting this out. I don't think that's the best option. But if you are doing that, you should probably come up with a plan that happens, because if you're still here and your passport hasn't come through, or if you're still here and you ain't able to get one, you're going to need to know what to do, because shit will get crazy. And it can happen. And that's what the rest of the country is telling us through all of the social media, that they're saying our media isn't telling us. Like, you guys aren't paying attention is what they're telling us. This is what is happening from the outside. But we're so stuck in our privileged bubbles of thinking that we're not living in a third world country that we've been living in for the past 40 years. So now we think that things won't happen, but they are. I'm not
They
saying
have
that
been happening.
Well, and along those lines of we're not living in a third world country,
we
what
are.
makes you think that if this insurrection thing should get passed and if martial law should ever ensue, that your passport is going to allow you safe travels?
That's an even
All
better
it
question.
is a little ping as to where in the hell you
But you
are,
should
and you
still
don't even
have
got to
one
use
though.
their
But
cameras.
you should still have one.
You
I
sh-
agree that who
you
knows
should
what
definitely
if
have
it'll
one.
be if they'll use it or valid, but you should definitely still have it. You should have all of your papers, regardless.
That,
I
IDs, birth
guess this is
certificate, social
also
security, all
where
of
I
that.
would say it's a test of your spirituality. You know, I might be on a different way of thinking than most people. I do believe in the change of errors. You know, the turn at the time. Okay, so we're moving out of Pisces into that age of Aquarius. It's never pleasant. Okay, Jesus didn't come to a party in some awesome receiving room and throw balloons and all that. People fucking wanted his ass dead, okay? That's the story, okay? I'm not saying I buy into it, whatever, but that's the story most people align with, right? If we are at a changing of the time, guess what? There has to be some mess. There
There's
has to be
That's
some
there,
disruption.
that's
yeah,
all.
it's here.
There's
That,
gonna be a
yeah.
mess. Of
Okay,
course.
well, as it was, okay, there's always a somebody, there's always a thing, okay, whether it's the Jesus Christ or the shot heard round the world. If you want a revolution, if you want change, if you want to embrace the things to come, we need a martyr. We need a martyr. We need somebody who's big, loud, and standing for something and willing to take the shot that's going to get heard. And the problem with that is we're too overpopulated for that. Nobody cares. So y'all just say whatever the hell you want, okay? And feel comfortable in it. Because we're like little teeny tiny ants in the grand scheme of thing. The only reason that they would come after anybody on this small circle here is just to kind of piss us off. And let's be real, if they're going to come after anybody, you five are very close in proximity. There's nobody here in Buford. If they come towards anybody, they're going to come after the person that they can most easily shut down.
I'm aware. Like, I'm
or
really
the
aware.
person.
And I'm not scared. You know
Yeah.
why? Because if they come, I'm not hiding.
No,
I got nothing to lose at this point. You got my kids away from me. I got nothing. Okay? So if they want to come knock on a door, they're going to be met the same way they come to it.
Yeah. And
Fully armed.
And look, I'm right there with you, Sabrina. I know what's going on in the bigger picture, the spiritual picture. I'm very well aware of it. But here's the part that I'm playing. I'm in it, and there are people around me who I care about who are also in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I know what's occurring, and in the bigger picture, the good guys win, and then the meek inherit the earth. Okay. However, I got to make it through this shit. And I agree. And again, I don't want to talk strategy or things that I'm personally going to do or that we're going to do, but I did want to record for a little bit because I, like all of you in our community, I think people need to start having these conversations. I think that they need to stop pussyfooting around with the idea that this is far, far away in a galaxy somewhere else, because it's not. It's here in central Georgia.
Although that movie was trying to tell us what was happening and is happening.
It's giving you the roadmap.
I mean, just watch Star Wars.
And I'll tell you, and you know, we're going to stop recording here soon so we can actually talk about networking and community and protecting one another in every way that we possibly can. But I think that people specifically in our area, they really need to start having this conversation. Now, I'll tell you another thing. Don't even bother trying to debate with people who are in MAGA. There's no point. These people, I don't even think that they're alive. I really don't. But for those of us and those out in our community who are probably sitting at home, maybe going through TikTok, and they're watching the same shit that we're watching, Mike, and they're like, is this really happening? People are in shock. They don't really realize what's actually occurring. And, you know, I think that they need to start having those conversations and not to pull the panic trigger. Don't want nobody to panic, nobody to freak out. Because that's not going to help, and I'm past it. You know, I've already subscribe that, shit, if, when they do start rounding up dissidents, as every fascist empire does, every one of them, none excluded, I'm probably top on the list. I'm probably one of those guys that they will come for. So I accept that shit. But hey, if there's a possibility or a probability that I can pull a community near me or join a community near me that's like-minded, that's like, okay, well, how are we going to try to insulate ourselves while this chaos is going on around us, because this country is no more. It's over with. And I don't think, like, put it to you this way. I know a guy, and I'll be very, very vague. And this is for us who are in the deep South, surrounded by these MAGA people who, like you said, Mike, man, they don't give a shit about the Constitution. They never did. And if their team sports guy does something to piss off the opposition, they're for it. These people around here, they don't know. They wouldn't know what liberty and freedom is, or what that document talks about, if it fucking hit them in the face. None of them. So, but I think people around here better start having the conversation sooner rather than later. And anyway, that's where I'm at with it. I think we are later in the hour than people can fathom, and might want to pick up the rise and fall of the Third Reich. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, Mike.
Yo. What up?
Let me ask you a question. Because all of us who are local, we have been interacting with local government, and I'll open the floor to you guys on this. Do you think that it's even effectual to even waste time and resources doing that anymore?
I think we should continue moving as if we were going to plan to do the things that we had already planned to do. So if you're an artist, you keep making art. If you are somebody who wants to continue to, just don't stop doing what you're doing, right? This is not panic. This is preparation. This is putting networks in place. This is creating infrastructure. This is giving us the ability to have a chance if shit falls apart. We're not saying it is. So the things that you are already doing, if you're petitioning your government, if you're going to protest, if you're standing up for your rights, if you're doing all of those things, keep doing it. Do I think that us utilizing government to solve our problems is something we should continue to lean into? No. Do I think we should hold them accountable? Yes. I think there's two different things. Government is not going to help us. They're not going to solve our problems, but they will make it a lot worse for us if we don't hold them accountable. That's all I think about just the whole continuing to go to the council meetings, commissioner stuff, town halls, all of those things, dialogue with the police chief, all of that stuff I think is necessary. And I think that if stuff doesn't hit the fan, which is what I believe we all want to happen, at least for us to have a chance to continue to build something better, then yeah, try to keep fighting, stay in a good fight, don't give up, and just believe that what you are standing up for, hold on to it, right? Like we talked about spirituality a second ago. Like I'm all for it. Whatever you believe in, whatever your higher power, whatever it is, hold on to that right now. Speak to them, your ancestors, whatever, and continue to, because those are the things that keep your flame going through the night. And that's in all seriousness. Like,
Amen.
we're not trying to make this doom and gloom. Like, I just want people prepared. I care about my people. I care about my community. That's why I've been going out here every fucking day to try to make it better, regardless of what it looks like when I go to bed. I know that we put that effort in. So we have to keep doing it. That's why we are here. We didn't have to sit here for almost an hour talking about this situation, but we did because we care, because we know that we do want something better. We know that we deserve something better, and we can get it. But we have to be strategic. We have to be disciplined, and we have to have a vision that is unified regardless of our ideology. I don't like a lot of people that are on the right because I am antithetical to everything that they believe in. A black man who is educated, who stands on what he believes in and says what the fuck is true. They don't want that because their truth does not align with my reality. So their narratives are not something that they want me to be able to decipher, but I don't care. I might not be somebody big, but I know that I have a voice that is loud enough to be heard. So regardless of if they're coming to my door or not, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep saying shit. But I am in the shadows, and I am going to make sure that we are too, and that we know what's going on. But I guess that was a roundabout way to say, yeah, continue doing what you're doing. Keep showing up. If you have relationships with local government, lean into them, right? Like we try to do, make them understand. The Constitution is a flawed document, right? I'm not going to sit up here and be like, it did not think about my people. Like, we were 3/5 when they were trying to put this shit in, right? Like, it wasn't until the 13th, 14th, and 15th that we were like, all right, cool, black people, you're decent. And we still don't get treated like it. I'm not saying I'm trying to preserve the Constitution. I'm saying there should at least be some consistency by the people who claim to hold it up as a sacred document. So lean into it, because it is still technically in effect. So make them hold that shit accountable. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I think, and I'm gonna be honest, like, and when I say Daniel, things in writing and like all that sounds great. You know, it's not about your beliefs, or it's not about, you know, your color of your skin. In this country, that is foundationally what it is. We can say all the idealistic and poetic stuff, and so Mike, when I say no, we have to have something in writing, I'm speaking to constitutional amendments. I don't think we should be waiting until this Insurrection Act, occurs. I think we should use all tools in the toolkit. Sabrina, you're the priestess. If you got some potions out there, you get with your other potion makers and y'all make some shit happen on the medicinal side. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all make that happen there. You don't want to get down with the do your anarchist stuff. If you don't want to get down with the legislation or the agreements or things of that nature, then find your ism for us to be, everybody to be on this earth and in this state and live a certain way. We're in what, freaking April, and there is an election coming up next year. Like, we're behind the 8 ball and really should be, we should be mirroring the freaking Tea Party. You mirror whatever the hell works and you tweak it to make it work for you. And so when Obama got in office, they didn't like that. So they came up with a Tea Party, and they replaced every single congressperson in DC. And that's what we should be mirroring. It shouldn't be, I think everybody's tired of, you see the left ain't shit, the right ain't shit. But there's some commonality that we can all benefit off of, and find those common things and have those people run. And I think it's like 14 states that you can do a recall on of an appointed or elected official. Use those things in the toolkit. Georgia's one of them. It's a petition. Get some people to sign it. And these are strategies that are part of the democratic process of this republic. And it's something that can be discussed out loud. And so that's something that should be done if and when those things happen. Because even if there's some disruption, Sabrina, like you're speaking to, you're still gonna have to create some treaties. You got to have somebody that can write some laws. You got to have somebody that can write. You're gonna have to restructure. So it's no different, you see. And so I think we should be doing a lot of both ands and not either ors. And that's where we're messing up, or that's where we've just not. I think that's where we're kind of missing it, and strategize for those things. I do disagree, Mike, as far as, because when I'm reading as far as the Insurrection Act and how it has trickled down from when it was first done to what was done and what he attempted to do in 20, he doesn't have to wait for Congress. He does not have to wait for a state to ask permission, and knowing Trump the way that Trump is, Trump will absolutely he'll go for the gusto. He'll go balls. He balls to the wall with how he does things. So no, he's
Okay.
not going to. If he takes that step, he's going forward because he knows he
Mm-hmm.
don't have long before there's some type of uprising from people. It's no different than when he got sworn in 2016. He got sworn in on what, a freaking Tuesday night. You hadn't had a presidential ball since Obama. He went in that night, wrote those executive orders. That Friday, he waited until people went home, and he locked down the doggone borders, and people could not get back in the United States or leave because he knew that the SCOTUS were going to go home for the weekend and they would not be able to do anything until Monday. So he's not one of those. He's shown us how he moves. And so, you know, for me, if they knock at the door, I'm just going to be an ancestor. I don't have enough. I don't have enough arms. I'm just going to be an ancestor, and I'm going to really fuck some shit up then. So it's best to let me live in this physical life,
Now,
you
Gotcha.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's
Real
like
quick.
having the conversations we all need to, you know, Mike, because I'm with you on the strategy, and all we can do is ring the alarm on it, make sure that people are aware. So I guess, you know, just like even on a call to action, I know you're saying you doing something every day. Like we agree to like just chop it up and have a conversation with like 10 or 15 people that we know from the moment
Yeah.
we in this live recording. And we all know somebody because it's not a foreign concept. So all of us know somebody that's like overly prepared, and just identifying those people that you can get to. Is it some that's in walking distance? Do you have some paths where, like, you know, how fast your people moving? Because in some areas, we're kind of, well, now y'all in there are military base, so they probably a little more strategic, you know. Down here where I am,
yeah.
hell, we ain't got enough officers for everybody to be at my door, so I might be able to make some moves, but yeah, so you know, it shouldn't be taken lightly, but we should also really be looking at some strategic ways and legislative ways, even if it is local or replacing, you know, at a high end. Like I really think we need to be following what the Tea Party did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to add everything that you just said. I would definitely recommend you watch my podcast.
Okay.
Everything you just advocated for, legislatively, strategically, discipline, the way that we need to move, whether it's about taking the right strategy, everything you just said is a podcast that I have. I would definitely shoot that to you so I could get your feedback on that.
Oh, I don't
And the
mind
other thing
watching
is,
it. I'm gonna just tell you, Mike, like I've set up meetings with on a high level with the last administration and with the department. Like, let me know what it is. Give me the cliff notes. So I can tell you how to get there. Like, or help strategize on that. But like, it's like so many people. Like, we really probably need to just find because I think we got our region covered. You know, between the six of us, we probably have a good start on Georgia and know a couple of people. I think it's time that we really like break this thing up in quadrants as far as like, you know, identifying the states where you can bust moves like recalls. And you know, because it's time to, you know, I'll go ahead and say it out loud. Like it's time to get rid of some senators that's just kind of taking up space. And if they not you know, speaking out, it's time for them to go. Like, I mean, because they're not built for this moment.
And let me say, Law, and
I mean,
I
remove them
wanted to get back
from, you know, office through the democratic process. I don't want misconstruing
Make sure you
my
clarify.
damn words. Okay?
But yeah, Law earlier when you asked the question, man, I could see it in your face. You're like, damn, I just got to the party, and now what are we supposed to do? Look, I don't want to talk because this is, like I said, we're not going to talk strategy on the air. I agree with Mike and with you. I think that we need to use every tool that's in the toolkit, right? And so while it is still possible to have dialogue, okay, I think that that you talk until you can't talk anymore,
Yeah.
right? So I think that it is still effectual to stay engaged with local government, but like I said, with no anticipation that they're actually going to do anything. Okay. And I think that we also do need to hold them accountable, right? Now, I don't know do you want to talk about the coalition now or no? I think you're muted, man.
So we can wait. I'm really interested in hearing about more of the strategy.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to the part where we pause the recording so
Okay.
Mike can speak freely.
So yeah, I didn't want to raise any alarm, like there's no hope, there's nothing you could do. I didn't want you to get that. But what I did want to do, like the whole purpose of this is like for those who listen in our community to go, hey, it's time for you guys to have this conversation, like for real. Like you really need to start talking about the fact that we're in a fascist dictatorship and you got to start moving now. You got to get off. I mean, don't get off of TikTok, but you have to start interacting in your local area now. And you need to start coming up with if this, then this plans, right? So that's where I'm coming from with it. And I do have, some strategies I ain't going to talk about with how to leverage whatever level of paying attention to the rule of law and the Constitution any of these elected officials are still playing with. You know what I mean? You can still leverage it, I think, effectually while there's still time. And again, I already know, this is not really about saving a fucking thing. There's nothing to save. This is about what happens next. This is what happens after. The networking and the community that is built and the framework for something better than the Constitution. Okay, better than what what we have to deal with. I mean, because it's just time. It's time for an upgrade. It's time for
Most definitely.
Yeah, it is. And we know it. And the other thing is, no matter what plans or strategies or anything like that for moving forward, I know that number one, you better be in touch with your spirituality. Anybody, anybody who's in this day and age, you better get in contact with your higher power, because that's the only thing. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to make a damn difference and get you through it. We're just playing the parts that it's leading us to play. You know what I mean? And so I do want to wrap this up, but the point of this was to instigate the conversation in our community and to let others in the community who may hear this know that, hey, look at us, us people who've been outcasted in society, like Mike. He's had solutions for years. Yeah, and you're right. Mike, you've been laying a lot of groundwork, and I know how frustrating it has been for you to put in all the work that you've put in, screaming from the top of your fucking lungs for people to pay attention and listen. I get it, right? But now it's like, yeah, but I know a guy who's got the solutions.
Yeah.
Okay. All of us are, it's like a Final Fantasy team. We all have to come together, like you're talking about. We got a witch over here. We got a sorceress over here. We got, and that's really, in my opinion, and if anybody who has any reverence toward any scriptures knows that during the period that we're in, there are that chosen few that are called to do exploits, right? That are called to do some cool superhero stuff, at least in the scriptures that I read. And I'm trying to play, try out for that fucking part. I don't want to get the worst end of it. I don't want anybody around me to get the worst end of it. But like you said, Sabrina, there's going to be a mess. I mean, it's already started. So that was my motivation for recording tonight, was just to get this conversation started in our own networks and our own community. So we'll do ladies first. For anybody who is listening to this, if you guys do want to network with us and share your insights or offer your resources or your strategies for how outside of any framework of government, this community can make it through the next 4 years and beyond that. And then go ahead, Marsha, you start with where people can find you and how they can get a hold of you if they want to start networking.
You can find me on Facebook under Marsha Gosier, Marsha Gosier. And same thing on IG. And so that's probably like the best place.
So just reach out to through socials.
Social media.
Okay.
And for now.
All right. Anything you want to add before we wrap this one up?
buy a lot of seeds. And yeah, buy a lot of seeds. Even if this doesn't happen, like, and I have to do better myself, like, buy them and plant them. Don't just look at them. You know, buy them and plant them. And if you don't know what you're doing, check with your neighbor. Have some conversations with your neighbor, you know, because people are not, you don't even know who's living next door with them, living next door beside them. And, you know, so those are things that you can do and learn how to swim.
Mona's been
trying
out.
all my life.
Mona and me, we've been out getting the everything ready to plant, you know, because it is that time, and that's you raise a good point. Talk to your neighbors, you know, and start networking. Mona, do you want to tell people where they can get a hold of you?
And she's muted.
I had you muted, so say that again.
MonaLucia.com. And you can find all of my socials, links, and my information there.
Alrighty. Sabrina, you don't give a shit. You want all of us down here in the same community to get hauled off in black bag? No, just go ahead. I'm playing.
I mean,
You're the balance.
Right? I'm Sabrina Black. You can find me on Facebook as Sabrina Black. You can also look up divineamerica.com and read some of the posts that I do. I guess be forewarned, my content is a little bit more intimidating.
Law
Dixon, we are launching Law Dixon Coalition. Feel free to reach out, lawdixoncoalition@gmail.com for police overreach and problems like that. And Law Dixon on social media.
Yeah. And as we get closer to launching that, we'll talk more in detail about it. But I think everybody on here is going to like that shit. Mike, I'm going to let you close it out, man. And this is the first time you've officially been on the podcast. So this has been fucking great. We got to get you back on. But go ahead, man. Tell people where they can find you and how they can network with you. And close us out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Appreciate all y'all's time. This was definitely fun. And one thing that I want to stress is to have the hard conversations. I think we're scared to talk to people because we're afraid of what they're going to say. Just to say it. That's the only way we're going to get through this shit, y'all. So if y'all want to find me and if you want to have those conversations, I got the podcast Controversial Conversation on YouTube, or you can find me on Instagram or TikTok, which is JokestaBaby. That's JOKESTABABY. And we talking our shit over there. We doing what we do. Got the spoken word podcast, or the spoken word album, Protest Poetry is out. We about to drop some more stuff. And then we got the Community Resource Network, which is the nonprofit that we're running. So y'all find us at crn478.org. And we're doing that work out there. So I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate my guest here. I appreciate the host, DLC. Thank y'all. And we're going to call it Power to the People.
All right, man. Yeah. Me and Mona, I think it was a couple of weekends ago, we listened to Protest Poetry again. Like, we just opened up the house and let it play. I was like, it's really good. So anybody who hasn't heard that, man, check it out on Spotify. But everybody can find me at downloadedcontent.com, all my social medias. Please subscribe to the newsletter, because a lot of the stuff that we'll be talking about as far as networking with all of us, I'll be putting out exclusively through newsletters and not just, on the posts and everything. But yeah, go to downloadedcontent.com and then, you can find me everywhere else. So, anyway, that's it for the official recording. Now we're going to plot the downfall of the government.
Looking for safe, legal access to medical cannabis or psilocybin, no matter where you live? Welcome to CannaSense. We offer lab-tested medicine to patients and adult users in all 50 states. No prescription? No problem. With our telemedicine services, there are no in-person appointments, and same-day approvals are available nationwide. CannaSense welcomes medical patients and recreational users 21 and up. And now, with our new theme, Be Our Guest, we're making it easier than ever to join the movement. Get maximum savings and unlock the CannaSense Total Wellness Affiliate Program by becoming a full member. Visit cannasense.com or call us at 1-833-633-4208. Sign up for our newsletter for weekly updates, new products, and exclusive promo codes. Scan the QR code now for education, enrollment, and empowerment. CannaSense, be our guest. Freedom, medicine, and clarity, delivered.